Welcome back to CSEC English Made Easy. Today we are looking at paper one, and in particular a letter to the editor comprehension passage. Now we have done previously the antonyms, sentence completion, and now we are doing the comprehension. Please note that we are not looking at the paper one in any particular order. So if you want to know the layout of the paper one exam, please see the video in the card. Let's begin. Music too loud. I can't study. So that would be the heading for the letter to the editor. And a letter to the editor is primarily written to a newspaper about a concern or topical issue. And so this letter was written by N. Sutton, and it's entitled Music Too Loud, I Can't Study, and it was published in Newsday, February 23rd, 2006. It is always important to pay attention to this source because it often gives context as to what the extract you're examining is about. The editor. I just can't take it anymore. I just can't take the noise forced on me by a restaurant and bar located across the street. The noise is unbearable and I cannot concentrate on my studies. I am writing the CXC exams in May-June this year and I must pass all my subjects. I am attending a reputable girls' school and I want to achieve good grades to get into the CAPE class. I work hard and every report so far indicates that I am an above average student. Second paragraph. I want to make my mother proud. She is a hard-working woman, especially since my father passed away 2 years ago. We have been struggling to make ends meet without complaint. But I must complain now because the restaurant and bar is intent on frustrating my ambitions and the sacrifices my mother is making. I appreciate the help of the government in providing opportunities for education, but this is going to be futile unless it is possible to take full advantage of them. Can you imagine having to struggle with a math problem with thunderous noise bombarding your eardrums and everything in the house jumping up and down as if the place is haunted? Can you imagine speaking to a classmate about homework and you can't hear each other? Can you imagine stuffing cottons in your ears in order to get some sleep? Can you imagine trying to explain to your teacher that you did not do your homework or that you sleep in class because of the noise coming from the restaurant and bar? The noise, third paragraph, the noise coming from this place is a serious obstacle that I am unable to overcome and I am seeking help in dealing with it. Fourth paragraph, can you imagine my mother and her 16-year-old daughter going to this place in the midst of writers drinking, ask them to turn down the music because I want to study or just to get some sleep? I understand that residents have been calling the police, but the response has been ineffective. At the moment of writing this letter, Sunday 19th at 9:30 a.m., they are blasting away after going late into last night. Fifth paragraph. Under the guise of carnival, they will continue their merciless onslaught. From Carnival Friday night right up to Ash Wednesday morning, they will continue non-stop. There will be total madness. And that is the end. It must be noted that on the exam paper, the lines are numbered, and this is for reference when it comes to answering the questions. So we're not going to do any major analysis now, but if we should say what the main idea of the passage is, what would you say? What do you think the main idea of the passage is? What is the writer trying to convey? So is she complaining about the noise from the restaurant and bar? Is that the main idea? Is it that she is unable to study? What do you think is the main idea? Comment below. Also, this is a letter to the editor, and therefore it is a type of persuasive writing. What persuasive devices are employed in this piece? Okay, everyone, we were rudely interrupted by a break in the recording. So let us jump now to the first question. And the question is the word I just can't take it anymore. Line 1 imply the writer is, and so let's look at, this would be line 1 right here. I just can't take it anymore. I just can't take the noise forced on me by a restaurant. This is what I personally do. When I am given a question here and it refers to the line and I find the statement that it is, I normally look at the sentence. If there's a sentence before it and there's a sentence after it, I normally look at those sentences as well to kind of give me context, better context as to what the sentence that I am examining is about. And that usually helps me to have a better understanding of what the meaning of the sentence is, or what the sentence is referring to. So that is a tip that might help you as well. So I just can't take it anymore. And then the next sentence is I just can't take the noise forced on me. So we get a feeling of, let's look. Is the writer crying? Is the writer arguing? Is the writer hurting? Is the writer shouting? So one of these. I don't think, let's eliminate, we love to eliminate the ones that, are not appropriate. So I would eliminate B, arguing, right? And because when you read it, the tone is not one of anger. So arguing would be out. D, shouting, goes back to if the statement was one or the writer was shouting, there would be here a quotation mark, right? But there's none. So eliminate D, D's out. So we look at A and C. Is the writer crying? Is the writer hurting? Is this a tone of somebody's crying, or is it a tone of somebody's hurt, somebody's fed up, somebody who just cannot continue in the situation that they're in? What tone is being conveyed? What emotion, what feeling do you get? Please comment below. And if your answer is C, then you are correct. Obviously, the writer is hurting. Let me go back. So, the repetition of I in the first paragraph can be best interpreted as highlighting the writers. And we see I just, I cannot, I am, I must, I am, I want, I work. Is it protest? Is it frustration? Is it disapproval? Is it point of view? Now, when we talk about point of view, we're talking about the perspective from which the letter is written. We know the point of view is, first person because of the pronoun I. But in this context, D would not be an appropriate answer, right? So we can eliminate D. We look at C, disapproval, we look at A, protest, and we look at B, frustration. Which one of these would best convey the writer, what the writer is doing? Is the writer protesting? Is the writer frustrated? Or is the writer displaying disapproval? And so you have to look at it, right? Also, what can give you a clue as well would be the previous question that we answered. The previous question that we answered, the writer is hurting, right? And so we can use that as a cue to the tone and the overall feeling that is being conveyed. And so from this, we can say the writer is frustrated. And even the use of I just, that repetition there, the I just, meaning, I'm tired of it. I just want, that tone is being presented. Tell me if I'm reading too much. Which of the following devices does the writer use in paragraph 2 to explain her plight? Now, if you had answered my initial question after reading, I said, what are the the persuasive techniques that are employed? And if you had answered that question, this would be a breeze for you. Now, although we know the answer for the question, let us dive into the options, because it is always good to know the different techniques, right? Because you might see them in the exam and they might throw you off and you panic. Because, for example, B, littles, you might see it and you're like, what is that? I've never seen that term before. And you're not sure how to proceed. And so let us talk about it. So we know a pun is a play on a word. A word is using, multiple ways. We know littles, that is when you have an understatement that is meant to be ironic, right? Contrast is when you show the difference between two things. And you have, I don't know why it's the rhetorical question. I would think rhetorical question would be fine, but hey. And then we have the rhetorical question. And from our persuasive series, if you did not check out the series, I recommend that you do. From our persuasive series, we know a rhetorical question is a question that is asked, that is not meant to be answered. It is designed to get the reader to really think in this case. And so if we look at paragraph 2 right here, we know that there are a litany I'm exaggerating, but there are numerous rhetorical questions. From my count, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 rhetorical questions, right? And so to answer the question, paragraph 2 is D, number of rhetorical questions. All right, let's jump to which of the following best conveys the emotion that the writer is seeking to arouse in the reader. What I love about the CSEC exam questions is that they build on each other. And so it is always good to reference questions that reference to previous questions, because they can give you clue and context, especially when in this case. So which of the following best conveys emotion? From our first question, we first two questions rather, we know the writer is frustrated, we know the writer is hurting, and from that perspective, the words that are used in this passage and the feeling and the information that is conveyed, is it pity, is it love, is it horror, is it empathy? We can off the bat eliminate B and C. I would say the elimination tactic is one of the best, or approach is one of the best approaches you can use when completing a multiple choice examination, because it allows your mind to now process a limited amount of options so that it is easier for you to arrive at the answer. So from our series of eliminations, we have A and D remaining as possible answers, right? So it is now good now to reread the passage, the extract, to see exactly which one of these emotions is conveyed to you, the reader. For this activity, for the video, we're not going to reread, but you can pause, you can reread, and now tell me, is it pity, is it empathy? And the answer is D. You feel sorry, a Jamaican term, you feel sorry for, you feel, you reach, yeah, Jamaican term, you kind of feel sorry for the writer, you feel the emotions that the writer is going through. And once again, this connects to the first two questions, that the idea of frustration and hurting connects to that. All right. The following sentence, I work hard and every report so far indicates that I am an above average student. Line 5 suggests that the writer, and you go to line 5, I work hard and every report so far indicates, right? So here, and then as I said to you before, I typically go to, all right guys, we got disconnected again. So let's finish this video. So if your response was C, then you're correct. All right, so let us look at 51, jumping up and down as if the place is haunted. Once again, we need to go to the line indicated, line 12. Can you imagine having to struggle with a math problem with thunderous noise bombarding your eardrums and everything in the house jumping up and down as if the place is haunted? Remember I said always read the entire line. Now, although there's an as there, this is not a simile. A simile is a comparison between two things. It's not a paradox, and it is not ironical or irony. So, the mere fact that the items in the house are jumping up and down, we're giving human-like qualities to inanimate objects. So, the answer is D. What effect does the writer achieve when she says, can you imagine my mother and her 16-year-old daughter going to this place in the midst of riotous drinking? Lines 19 to 20. And we have the lines here. A rhetorical question. So is it A, admiration from the readers for the woman's courage? B, shock from the reader that the woman should consider going there? C, criticism for their actions in going to a bar? D, scorn for the woman's behavior in going into a bar? So once again, we are using a system of eliminations. And if we eliminate, would you criticize the mother for trying to help her daughter, or would you scorn her for trying to help her daughter? So I would eliminate C and D. So we're looking at A and B. Based on the situation, do you admire the mother's courage, or are you in shock that they would have gone to the bar? Which one is your answer? Let me know. A, that's my answer. The last line of the passage expresses the view that, and let us look at the last line, there will be total madness. And as always, the recommendation is that you read the line before the lines before it. So we're talking about this in the context of carnival celebrations, right? So there will be total madness. So let us look at which of these best express the meaning of the last line. Carnival will be more festive. The writer's mother will quarrel with the restaurant owner. This is off the page. There's nothing here to suggest that that might happen. So immediately we will eliminate B. The writer will become hysterical. What is there to allude to that? So I would eliminate C and D. The noisy atmosphere will become worse. So we have the option between A and D, right? So if we look again, remember we're talking about the question you need to ask yourself is, why did the writer reference carnival in this piece? If the writer is talking about music and it's being too loud to study, why is the writer referencing carnival? Is the writer referencing carnival to say that the place would be more, carnival would be more festive? Or is the writer referencing carnival to say the atmosphere will become worse? So not only is it that she'll have to deal with everything that's going on at the bar, she'll also have to deal with carnival celebrations compounding the situation. Is that what the writer is suggesting by referencing carnival? So these are the questions that we have to ask. And so my question to you, is it A or is it D? And my response is D, making reference so that the noisy atmosphere will become worse. All right? Final question, and I love this question. This kind of writing is best classified as, and this is, to me, this is like a giveaway question. Once you know the type of writing, and so remember we categorize the letter to the editor, speeches, advertisement, all of those are categorized as examples of persuasive writing. And so without even diving into it, we know automatically that our answer is D, persuasive. All right, so have a good day, everyone. I will see you in the next lesson.